The leaves are changing colors, and that means the holiday season is quickly upon us. Today I'm going to be making two traditional party favorites. The first, an Asian sticky rice with Chinese sausage and shiitake mushrooms. And then a sweet soy layer egg drop soup.
Okay, so today we're going to do a new take on basically an Asian fried rice. It's actually made with the short grain glutinous rice that I like, and then a little bit of the long grain too. But this is a really big party favorite. If you need to make a large amount of something, you should definitely bring this in. All right, so I'm going to actually start off with my rice first, and that's what you guys should be doing. The amount of rice should be about 2 to 1, so 2 parts of the glutinous rice to 1 part of the long grain rice. And this is really important. Put half as much water as you would to cook normal rice as you would with this, half the amount. Because it's actually my mom's recipe, but she had this friend that was learning how to make this rice from her, and she actually put the full amount that you would, I think the full amount's about, what, like half an inch. Usually they say to your that top indentation of your pinky, that much. You should do about half that much, because if you put too much in it, it's going to get all soggy and not so tasty. Okay, so in here I have about 5 cups in total of this rice, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about a teaspoon of rice wine to this. Now, rice wine is a lot more mellow than normal wine, but it does add that nice richness in there. And then also about a teaspoon of oil. You add oil in because the glutinous rice tends to be a little bit sticky. This is going to definitely help it loosen up a bit and then break it up. So I'm going to just put that in. I'm going to put that on start. Okay, and you just let that cook right now, because right now we're going to work on the toppings that are going to go into the rice. Okay, so that's cooking. This is going to be with Chinese sausage, which I love to cook with. Typically you want about 1 sausage to 1 cup of rice, or that and a little bit less. But you want to dice it up into small chunks. So the way that I do that is I kind of split the sausage in half first. Okay. And there's different kinds of sausages that you can get. Nowadays, it's readily available at different Asian supermarkets, but there's different degrees of how fatty you want the sausage to be. And we prefer, there are these Vietnamese sausages that are really lean and it doesn't have that much fat in it. So I prefer those. Okay, so I just split them and then I split them again. Okay, until you get nice little pieces that we're going to end up browning over the stove. Okay, one more, split that one. Okay. And just cut that up really quickly. I mean, one thing about working with sausage is that your house is going to smell so good while you're cooking, as usual. I'm going to add this into my bowl, which already has 4 sausages in it, really quick. Small dices. Okay, and then I have about 5 or 6 mushrooms. So again, shiitake mushrooms, I've cooked with these before, taught you guys about it, but again, they're rehydrated. I like that they're dry. When they're dry, they have like a more compact flavor. And then what I did was I soaked it in water for about a half an hour or so, warm water, half an hour, rinsed it out, and then squeezed out the liquid, because I want this to be fairly dry. I don't want anything to kind of water down the mixture, the topping that I'm making. Okay, so once again, get it into nice small chunks. Okay, I usually just put it down like this. Because it's dry and it's rehydrated, it's a lot easier to work with. It's not going to slide around that much. Okay, so gather them together. Okay, got 1. So again, 5 or 6 should work. If you like more, put more in. Is usually my thing. Okay, and I know that I cook with these ingredients all the time, but the thing is, different combinations are going to yield different results, and this rice happens to be one of my favorites. I say it all the time, happens to be one of my favorites. I prefer this over fried rice, like by a million. Okay, I have some cilantro right here, and I have some spring onions right here. That's going to be used later. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spring onions and then the cilantro. And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my shiitake mushrooms and I'm gonna take my Chinese sausages over to the stove. Okay, so we need to put a little bit of oil just to start off the cooking process. I mean like a teaspoon, not so much, because there's enough fat in the Chinese sausage to, this is just to help render out the fat. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that in. Okay, let that go for about 2 minutes or so. Let all that good smell come out and then get some color on it, some good flavor. Okay, so this is gonna be about 2 minutes. I have it on about low to medium heat. Okay, and if you can just see inside, some of the fat from the Chinese sausages have rendered out. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my shiitake mushrooms right in. Sprinkle that over. Now I wanna brown the shiitakes a bit because that will also render out some of its flavor. And then like mushrooms, it will soak in all of that nice flavor from the Chinese sausages, which in general is a little bit sweet, it's a little bit salty, so a very nice mix. And then lastly, I'm just gonna add a little bit of cracked black pepper to this. And then you see that there's a little bit of fat in the pan. Typically, I would drain out the fat, but because these Chinese sausages are a little bit leaner, I'm not gonna drain them out. But if you were using, say, a fattier sausage, I would drain out some of the fat first. Okay, that was about 5 minutes, really easy. I'm just gonna bring this right back and then we'll take it over. Okay, so while this is still warm, I'm gonna put in about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And we're gonna add a little bit of oyster sauce to it, about a tablespoon. Now, oyster sauce is really made from oysters. So other than for the typical ingredients, just like ketchup. So other than for the typical ingredients of soy sauce, which gives you kind of that sweet and salty type of mix as well, this also has a little bit of the oyster extract in it. So it provides that richer sense that an oyster would give, and it's actually really good. So we're gonna mix that around in here. Okay. And guess what? Right on time, because my rice is also beginning to boil. You typically want the rice to be, I would say, about 90% done before you add this in. Okay, so let's check that out. It's about 90% done, and I'm just gonna add this right into my rice. It's like one of those one-pot wonders that I'm always really into. You don't have to clean a lot at the end, very easy. And all of the flavors from the mushrooms and the soy and the oyster and the Chinese sausage go right into the rice too, so it's really good. So I'm gonna just let this down, cook this down. So this is gonna cook for about another 5 to 10 minutes or so, and then we're gonna add the parsley and then the cilantro in at the end to really decorate and really to spruce things up. Okay, so I'm gonna open this. It's been about 5 minutes and you can see that all of the rice has kind of taken in all of that good flavor from the sausage and the mushrooms. And now I'm gonna finish it off. So grab a pair of chopsticks and I'm just going to add a little bit of my green scallions and then also just a little bit of my cilantro. Okay, so now we're all set. Let's move this over to the side. And we're ready for plating. So I'm gonna take my little scooper right here, and I'm just gonna scoop some into the bowl. So yummy, check that out. It's going to be a favorite at any party. All right, so coming up, I have a sweet dessert soup that I want to introduce you guys to. Can't find it in any other restaurant, so definitely stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. I'm gonna teach you today how to make a sweet Hong Kong style soup. Now in Hong Kong, we have sweets, but for a majority, the most traditional types of desserts are in the form of soups, and they just so happen to be really sweet. So this one is going to be a soy layer egg drop soup. It is one of my favorites. I had it all the time growing up. But the interesting thing about this one is I go to a lot of the Asian restaurants or the Chinese restaurants out here in Boston and actually around the US, and I don't see this soup that often. So it's definitely very traditional, it's very local, and I would definitely take note of this one because it's really good and it takes like 5 minutes to make. Okay, so a lot of introduction here. What I was talking about, this soy layer soup is actually this. You can go to, now it's available at many supermarkets, but definitely make sure that you're getting the right one. There's a lot of dried like bean curd skin, soy skin, that type of a thing. You wanna make sure to get one in the big packet where everything's like really flat. I don't know if you can really see it, but just take some of it out. It's like, I don't know, it's like really thin potato chips, but it's made out of soy. It's like soy layers. Okay, and then once you put it into the soup, it has a really nice kind of soft, silky, layery texture that works really well with sweet soups. So what I have already done is on the side, you're gonna need about 1 package of these, and 1 package has about 200 grams to about 6 bowls of water or so. It's depending on how thick or thin you like the soup, but I like my soup a little bit thicker, on the thicker side. And then I have a package of this, which is about 200 grams to about 6 bowls of water going on the side, and I brought it up to a boil and lowered down the heat to about simmering, and it's gonna be there for about 5 minutes or so before I add anything else. And then a little bit more of introduction. So this is rock sugar. It's, I would say, a more traditional type of sugar that Asian people tend to use in their sweet desserts. And I mean, you can see it, it's kind of like rock candy. It's basically just rock candy. And I think in terms of flavor, it's not so different. You can certainly substitute this for sugar if you want, but in terms of flavor, I think that the rock sugar provides more of a mellow sweetness than really like a nice punch when you put straight sugar right in. But then again, you can always just put in sugar. So I have about a good half, 3/4 of a cup of sugar right here if you were gonna use sugar. Okay, meanwhile, I have my soup boiling away over there, and it's come to a boil. It's simmering right now. So let's go over. We're going to add the sugar, and then I'm going to come right back. Okay, so this has been going for about 4 to 5 minutes. You can definitely see that the skins have broken apart. One thing to note is that if you like your soy layers to completely kind of break apart and it gets to a more soft texture, you should add the soy layers at the beginning when the water is still cold and then boil it together. Now, if you want, for example, I prefer this better. If you want the soy skins to break apart less and to kind of remain in that layery form and still be have a little bit more of a texture, you should wait until the water comes to a boil and then add the soy layers right in. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to add in my sugar. Okay, I've just added in the sugar. I'm just gonna close the lid. Keep that on pretty low. 4 to 5 minutes until all of the sugar has melted. Okay, so I said that this was going to be a soy layer egg drop soup. So here's where the egg drop comes in. I'm gonna take about 3 eggs. Okay, make sure I don't get any shells in. And I like my eggs broken apart, so I'm gonna do 2. I'm going to scramble those 2 first. Just roughly scrambling it. I don't want it to be mixed completely because I kind of like to see some parts of the yolk and then some parts of the egg white when I drop it into the soup. Okay, and then I'm going to do 1 with just the whole egg. Okay, so this one I'm not going to touch. It's going to go in sort of like a sunny side up. Okay, cool. All right, so let's bring that over to the stove and then we'll finish off the soup. Okay, so I'm over here. I'm actually going to turn this up to a high and I'm going to drop the eggs right in. And I'm going to drop them high because I want them to form nice silky strands. And I'm also going to rotate this around. And then for my last egg, I'm just going to get closer and drop that right in. Okay. Okay, so as soon as we finish adding the eggs in, I just want to turn off the heat. You don't actually want to overcook the eggs because otherwise it gets really tough. So we've dropped it in, we've let the natural heat of the soup finish cooking the eggs. And remember, you don't need to put the cover back on. You want the eggs to be really soft and really nice. So just leave it there, in about 5 minutes, your soup will be all set, okay? Okay, so I'm going to take this soup right over. It's all done. It smells so yummy, I love this soup. Okay. Just take my ladle, and I really want you to check this out because it's really pretty cool how this looks like. Because of the eggs and how we put them in, you have nice long strands of the eggs, and then you have the soft layers from the soy, and then I'm gonna get that egg that's really nicely poached. Put that right in, put that in the center. Yum! That off to the side, put this off to the side, and there you guys have it. 2 lovely meals that you've made under an hour. Super delicious, super good, and this you can't find anywhere, so it's super traditional as well. Once again, if you guys have any questions on recipes or different techniques on how to make it, definitely check out your local channel website or your local channel listings, or you can always email me at emeetsk@gmail.com. All right, hope to see you guys next time.